Here we are, reviewing 1.4 yet again. The first video I tried did not work, so here's my second attempt at it. I made it too long. I have to break it into two parts. So this will be part 1 of 1.4. Finding the equations of lines that do all kinds of things. There's going to be 4 total examples. Part 1 will have 2. Part 2 will have the other 2. So here's the I would say less special cases. So these are the more popular varieties. Okay, here are the 3 basic formulas you're going to have to use, but pretty much these two down here, the slope formula and the point slope formula, are the ones you're going to be using. This is here to show you that you express your answers in slope intercept form. All right, so passes through these 2 points. Now, I want to make sure that we talk about the graph always when we do this stuff. So I'm going to make a nice little XY axis because it's real important to me that you know what the graph is doing instead of just what the math is doing and not know why it works. So we're going to call this x1, y1 for point number 1. That's not y to the first power or anything. And this is x2, y2. Now those are subscripts. Those aren't exponents. That means point 2 and point number 1. What we're going to do is find the slope first. So I'm going to start with the slope formula. y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. And I recommend you rewrite that a few times until you don't forget it. It just kind of gives your brain a chance to get it right. On top, we're going to plug these values in. So it's going to be 6 minus 4. That's y2 minus y1. And of course, x2 minus x1 would be 4. Now check this out. Minus negative 2. Minus, here's what I'm going to do this from this whole video, negative 2. And I made a tilted plus sign there to show you that it's a double negative turned positive. So whenever you see me make a tilted plus sign, that's what happened. We'll save us a step there. This thing here becomes 2 over 6, which is 1/3. 1/3. So our slope is 1/3. Now what we have to do is use the point slope formula to generate our graph here. And speaking of graph, let's go over to the graph itself and plot these 2 points. So here's negative 2, 4. We'll just freehand this, see how we do. And 4, 6, 2, 3, 4. And we'll go up 6, so that's 5, 6, and we'll just kind of eyeball it. All right. And we'll make, for the sake of these videos today, I'll make red lines through here the best I can. Boom. Something like that. Something like that right there. So what we're trying to do is find the equation of that red line. Okay? To do so, you come back down to the point slope formula at this point. Once we get our slope, so whenever you have one with 2 points, you got to do this first to get the slope. Now what I'm going to do is pick the one that looks easiest, and most people will probably say 4, 6, so I'm going to pick that one. 4, 6. This will be, for the case of the point slope formula, our x1 and y1. x1, like that. Okay, so this will be our x1, y1. I know over here we labeled it x2, y2, but that really doesn't matter. Okay, that just matters to get the slope. So pick either 2 points. If you don't believe me, when I'm done, plug the other point in there and you'll see it generates the same line. It has to, because it's on the same line. Any point on that red line will generate that. Okay, so y minus 6. I better hurry up. YouTube only allows 10 minutes here. So 1/3 x minus 4. Plugging all that in. Carefully plugging it in there. And then we need to distribute this fraction through here, and that's where this gets gross. So it's y minus 6 equals 1/3 x. 1/3 times 4 is, of course, 4/3. You just multiply the top, because that's 4 over 1. And then we add 6. We're solving this for y now. Okay, we're solving it for y. Now here's where the wheels fall off, and people miss this all the time. This is negative 4/3 plus 6, which is going to work out to be something like 6 minus 1 and 1/3. If we're doing this by hand, that's 4/3, 1 and 1/3. I know that you know that.
This is a pre-algebra problem, right? So we're going to have to borrow. So we make this 5 3/3 minus 1 1/3. I know the weakness of some people are fractions. It always is. 4 2/3. 4 2/3. So my final answer, y equals 1/3 x plus 4 2/3. This would be the answer to this question. That also is the graph of that red line. Now let's look at it. Let's prove it. Let's graph it via the slope-intercept method. If you're like, what's that? Go back and watch that video. I made it yesterday. Slope-intercept method. 4 2/3. I mean, even with this crude graph, you can see, if you zoom in, that that's about 4 2/3 right there, which isn't too shabby at all. And then if we go up 1 over 3, we're going to hit it right about there. So the 2 points on that will be right there. All right? So you can see that that is that line right there. Cool. The next one is way easier. And this is a very common type of problem where it gives you the slope and a point, and you have to use the appropriate one up here to generate the line. And the one you always use is pretty much the point slope form, because we have a point and a slope. We're going to call this x1, y1, and we can basically bypass this whole finding the slope part. We don't need to do that because we already know it. So we know our slope is 3, and our point that we're going to use, you don't have to write this, but I'm doing it for demo, is that right there. So we'll start out, let's do this in a more exciting color. Y minus y1 m x minus x1. That's the point slope formula. We're going to plug everything in very carefully. Y minus, you tell me, 4 equals 3 times, or parenthesis there, x, and then it's going to be minus -2. So what do I write here? Plus 2 with the tilde plus sign. That tells me that I double negative that thing. All right, you can see that this right here and this right here are the same exact steps, except what makes this problem easier is that we don't have that fraction. So we distribute through, and this is going to become y minus 4 equals 3x plus 6, adding 4, y equals 3x plus 10, final answer. And if we just make a very quick little sketch of this, I always want to do that. I never want to leave you hanging and to see what am I doing here. If I plot point -2, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, right there. There's -2, 4. And I have a slope of 3, which I do. That right there is my slope. That's mx plus b. If we graph our answer here, and this is our answer, I'll circle it in yellow. That would be your final answer. We should get the equation of a line that passes right through this yellow dot right here. All right, now I'm going to have to extend that way up there. You're going to have to use your imagination a little bit because I got to go up 10 on the. I have to go up 10 on the y-axis. So there's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there's the dot. And then our slope is 3, and I need to go up 3 and over 1. So I could go down 3, 1, 2, 3, and over 1, put a dot right there, and then connect that. And you can see that it will pass right through that point right there. And that was our goal. Let's see. This thing here generated this red line up here that passed through that point. So you should always be able to check your answer like that. All right. Have a good one. That was part 1.